Hello, hello. Welcome back to the Living in Alignment podcast. I'm so glad you're here. I am here today with Scarlett Stanhope, aka the Biz Hippie, and she helps coaches, entrepreneurs, and healers master money and own their worth so they can be fully supported by the work they love. Using a combination of tangible money management strategies and a variety of powerful coaching techniques, Scarlett helps her clients transform their mindset and relationship to money and strategically make their vision happen. Scarlett didn't always live life this way. At the age of 18, Scarlett had already begun her professional journey and was managing restaurants and pursuing a degree in business management, accounting, and finance. Her life was all business all the time, despite having horrible relationships with both people and money. Struggles with depression, head to toe eczema, and frequent migraines. Oops, that was all one sentence. Let me say that again. Her life was all business all the time, despite having horrible relationships with both people and money, struggles with depression, head to toe eczema, and frequent migraines. It took a cannabis-induced near-death experience to shake her to her core and start a slow crawl from rock bottom. Scarlett swung her pendulum from full business mode to total hippie, becoming a life coach, yoga instructor, and Reiki practitioner. It was when a coach friend of hers was struggling with money that she was inspired to bring together her experience, skills, and degree to support her. This was the genesis of Empowered Abundance, a program that helps coaches and business leaders transition into their next level of abundance with all the tools they need to make conscious and aligned decisions. Scarlett is a certified coach through the World Coach Institute and a level 2 and lifted coach. On a personal level, she's a total hippie and loves spending time barefoot outside, vibing with her family in drum circles and using plant medicine in the jungle. So you're speaking to my soul, Scarlett.
I can tell.
um, yeah, I told you before we started the episode that I come from a hippie background, and I'm still a hippie, and I love drum circles and plant medicine and all the things. So um, I'm curious. Well, first of all, how are you today? Welcome to the
Oh,
podcast.
thank you. I mean, I'm doing so great because I'm here with you, and I can
Oh,
tell that we're like already friends, and we just need to like go on a retreat together
oh
and do
yeah.
some plant medicines, and we can drum. So that's the vibe I'm currently feeling.
Yeah. Oh yeah, that would be awesome. I've actually side tangent, some of my like people that I've become really, really good friends with, I've met exactly this way. People that they come on the podcast and then we become good friends. So it happens.
Yeah, sweet. You can put me on that list.
That's awesome. So I wanted to ask you, when you said that, where is it? It took a cannabis-induced near-death experience to shake her to her core. So what is a cannabis-induced near-death experience?
Yeah, that's super funny. I knew that this is often where they go, the conversation, and I'm always super excited to share around it. So, what does it mean? I mean, what it means is, first of all, I had a point in time in my life where, life was horrible, but I didn't really realize it. And there was an incident where I accidentally consumed way too much marijuana. That's really what it came down to. And I was pretty young, I was in my very young adulthood and was new to marijuana and was also very much a lightweight when it came to it and just kind of pushing my limits, like trying this thing, trying this substance, but also battling my own fears of like I don't want to be in trouble, is this against the law? All of that. And so the story is I was leaving work very late at night and a coworker who actually works in the medicinal cannabis industry, she has her own business doing that. She hands me a small like to go cup, and she hands me this to go cup, and then she takes it edible and she breaks it in half, and she hands me half of this large edible, and I just take it and I put it in my mouth, and then we're walking to our cars, and she goes, "Where's the edible that I gave you?" I was like, "What do you mean? Like I ate it." And she was like, "You ate the whole thing?" And I was like, "Yes, you handed it to me." And she was like, "That's what the to-go cup was for." And I was like, "Oh my gosh, what did I just do?" So then we stop at the bar that's in between our restaurant and our cars where we actually know the people there. So we go after hours and I'm halfway through a beer and I'm like, I need to leave. Like, I need to leave right this second. I abandon my half a beer. I give it to somebody else and I drive to my ex-boyfriend, now my boyfriend at the time's house, who is luckily like 5 minutes, 10 minutes down the road. Thank goodness. And I get there and he like wakes up when I get there and then he goes back to sleep and I'm lying there by myself in the middle of the night and I start having the wildest experience. I literally felt my soul like come out of my body and then sink back into my body and then sink behind my body. And then I had all these epiphanies about my life and where I currently was and why I was suffering so much, and that it was from being in this environment and being in this circumstance, in this reality that I had created for myself. And then my brain goes, "Oh my gosh, I just had a seizure. I just died and then had these epiphanies about my life. And this is me like coming back into my body and I'm going to have another seizure and I might not come back." And so I go into full blown panic attack mode and genuinely believe that I am dying. I'm like, this is
Mm.
the end. I'm dying. I'm having seizures. I'm freaking out. I know very little about cannabis at this point, too. So in my mind, I'm like, of course I could overdose from this. So that was a moment in my life where I genuinely believed like this is the end. Like this is my death. And what was really interesting was at that moment, I had a really heavy debate with myself of what to do. And there was a large part of me that was just thinking, okay, well, oh, well, I'm just going to surrender to this. Like I've surrendered to all these circumstances in my life that have led me to where I am right now. And just like stay in this fear, stay right here and accept that this is it. But then there was another part of me that came to the surface. And I will never forget what this part said. And it said, if I'm going to die tonight, then I do not want to die here in
Mm.
this room, in this bed, next to this person. And so it was 4 a.m. I got up out of bed, went outside, sat in my car, pulled out my phone, called my mom, and started sobbing and was like, I had all this weed. I'm overdosing. I'm having seizures. I'm going to die. And she came and got me. She woke up in the middle of the night, drove a half hour, came to pick me up, bring me home. And that was a pivotal moment that literally changed the trajectory of the rest of my life.
Mm. Wow. So what happened? Like, after that, you decided, because before that you were in full blown business mode, right? And then after that, you decided, you just came out of that, you were okay. And then you just decided, this isn't what I want my life to be anymore.
Yes, in many ways that is what happened, but at the same time, it was actually pretty slow. It wasn't like I woke up from that and was like, I'm going to change everything. That was really the first step that I had taken to, I mean, connect with my family, admit that I had a problem and needed help, admit that I was suffering, really even recognize the situation that I was in and that I had put myself in, really realize that something was wrong, that I was in a really dark place, and that I had a choice to get out of it. And it took me a while to actually take the steps to start to get out of it. So slowly over time, I started to peel away these layers of my reality. So eventually, I left that relationship. Like shortly after, it wasn't like I woke up and I was like, this is over, goodbye. It was like,
Right.
okay, a few days to a few weeks later, eventually I transitioned out of that job. Eventually, I transitioned away from the work that I had been doing. And basically, it was like a very slow crawl out of a deep hole that I had dug myself in. And when you're first starting the growth, especially when you're starting from rock bottom, I find that it can take a lot of effort to get that momentum going. And so it began the slow, steady journey of crawling out of that pit of despair and then beginning to discover myself and who I am. And then I discovered, oh my gosh, I totally am a hippie. Like I love being outside. I love being weird and different. And I, found yoga. Yoga was a huge part of my self-discovery journey, part of my healing journey. And slowly I figured out who I was. And so it actually took me several years to even just recover from that initial phase of my life. And then once I did that, it was just exponential growth of embodying who I am and becoming the person that I always was.
That's awesome. So if somebody's listening to this right now and they're thinking, how do I figure out who I am? Because I'm in a rut, I'm in a hole. How do I climb out of it? How do I, you know, like we're not going to say everybody needs to go to yoga, right? Like, so
Mhm.
what would you recommend that somebody could do to try to figure out what is in alignment for them in their life?
Yeah, and that's such a great question and such an important question. And for me, I can say that um, awareness is really the key. The first thing is noticing, why are we choosing what we're choosing and why are we doing what we're doing? Because for so much of my life, I was very much driven by these external perspectives of success. I was like, okay, well, in order to be successful in this world, I need to make a lot of money. I need to have a fancy job title. I need to get straight A's. I need to be perfect. I can never do anything wrong. And that is literally how I lived my life. Was I worked very hard to rise up to these ideals of what I thought success was, and that is what led me into this dark pit of despair that I found myself in. And so part of my steps of stepping into alignment was recognizing that it was these expectations that were placed upon me that I was trying to live up to, and that was dictating my actions and how I was choosing to live my life. And I honestly felt that inside I didn't know who I was. I was a shell. I had all these masks. I was an awesome chameleon. I could fit into any situation and
Mhm.
be great at it, but inside I had no idea who I was because I had only acted based on these what I thought I should be. And
Mhm.
so part of it is recognizing what you're doing only because you think you should be doing it or because you're supposed to be doing it, and starting to peel away those layers of why am I doing what I'm doing? And then it's a discovery process of seeing, what do I enjoy? What do I like? What makes me feel good? And that comes from trying things, testing the waters, but also listening and learning to listen to you, your body, your gut, and your intuition, right? You have to practice learning what is a yes and what is a no, and your body knows the answer. It just might be silenced. And it's a practice of asking yourself, is this a yes? Is this a no? And then letting that voice of your intuition grow louder.
Mhm. Yeah. I love this. And I love the I mean, I've gotten a lot better with my intuition. I'm actually doing a intuition boot camp this weekend with an intuition coach. I'm always trying to fine tune that part of myself, and it's how some of the crazy things that I've done in my life, like big choices that I've made where people thought I was crazy and I thought I was crazy, came from just like a knowing that I couldn't explain. And I feel like a lot of people close that part of themselves off, and they don't, like you said, they're a shell doing what they think they're supposed to be doing. And we get caught up in this rat race where we're trying to keep up with the Joneses and live up to some standards based on standards, especially like in this day and age, like they've there's been this like way that we've been told things have to be since for a really, really, really long time. Like you need to go to school and get good
Mhm.
grades so that you can get a good job working for somebody, or you can get into a good college, and then you can get a good job working for somebody else. And that's kind of like how we're trained to think like the process goes. And it's hard to think outside of that sometimes. And like for you, it took a near death experience to like figure
Yes.
out like that's not who I am. It's not who a lot of us are, but we still think that that's who we're supposed to be. And I can see like that can be crippling and depressing and so many things.
Mhm.
So, yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. And just to touch on that, when I look back at that time in my life, I was so blind. I was so blind to my intuition and just like myself and how I was feeling, I didn't even realize how depressed I was. I didn't even
Mm,
realize that my body was screaming at me by, giving me head to toe eczema because of how uncomfortable it was to just even live in my skin
mm,
and my reality. And I didn't even notice. In fact, and so that's what happens when you don't notice the signs that are here for you is you fall deeper down and then the signs get louder and
mm,
louder. And so I really needed to be faced with death because that was the only thing that could shake me
mhm,
from this default pattern that I was living in. And even then, I still questioned it. I was like, do I really have to change? Do I really have to do something differently? Do I really have to like take an action in my life instead of just surrendering to this flow of this pattern I've been living in? Like, do I really have to make a choice and do something? And I was almost like, no, I'm just going to die.
mm,
But the fear was strong enough where I was like, "Okay, fine. I will do it. I will get up and take a different step." And so I that was like the ultimate rock bottom for me, and it was the how deep I had to go in order to shake me from this like dream that I was living in at the time.
mm. Yeah, like they say, like the universe will tap you on the shoulder, and if you don't listen, you'll get hit with a 2x4. And like,
Yes.
unfortunately, a lot of us, it takes the 2x4 before we finally wake up.
Mhm.
So how did you, what was like the first thing, like how did you start doing yoga, like get introduced to yoga? Like, did you just wake up one day and say, I think I'm going to try yoga? That sounds like something really different than anything I've been doing, or how did that happen?
It was actually pretty close to that. So I was familiar with yoga. So my mom is has been doing yoga for over 20 years at this point. And so I was always familiar with yoga. And when I was younger, she would say to me like, "Hey, you want to come to yoga with me?" And I was like, "No, yoga is stupid. I don't want to come. No way. I hate yoga." That was pretty much my vibe. And then I did a little bit of yoga in high school. Like me and a high school friend would go to the gym. We had like a spurt, a fitness spurt where we would go to the gym regularly and we did a few yoga classes at the gym. But, it wasn't, and then that was over. And so on this journey of healing, really what actually happened was I saw an advertisement on YouTube one day, and it was just like, "Yoga's super beneficial." That was pretty much it. It was very short. I didn't, like, go that deep into it. It was just like, "Yoga's really beneficial for all these reasons." And then the next day I woke up and I was like, "I'm gonna go to a yoga class." And
Mm,
then I did, and then I never stopped. Like,
mm,
I finally like awoken to it at the perfect time and then just latched on and kept going and started
mm.
going regularly, and I've been doing it every single week since for several years.
That's awesome. It's amazing how one little split decision or one advertisement or whatever can just change our lives forever.
Yeah, it
On a
it's
dime.
definitely that divine timing because I
Yeah.
had to be like ready to open to it. It was
Yes.
said to me 1,000 times, like, want to come. So like I knew it was there. It was
Yeah.
just like finally I was open enough to it and had the awareness to be like, yes, this is what I need, and acted upon it.
When the student is ready, the teacher appears.
Exactly.
Like you weren't ready before, so it wasn't, you didn't even notice that it was there. It's
Mhm.
awesome. So I know that one of your main focuses and specialties is in money, right? Conversations around money and helping people heal their relationships with money
Mhm.
and abundance. So let's talk about money.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely.
um, one of the things I'd like to talk about that I know is something that you also like to talk about is how well the other thing, money and worth, right? Like I guess they kind of go hand in hand, but not exactly. They're not exactly the same. But one of the things that I talk about a lot that people are probably tired of hearing me talk about, but it is the name of my podcast, Living in Alignment, is doing things that feel authentic, doing things that feel in alignment to you, living your life in alignment, doing your business in alignment, not based on trying to copy what somebody else is doing, not thinking that because some strategy is helping somebody get success in their business, that means that you need to do it in your business or that it would even work in your business. And that it's really important to allow yourself, going back to the intuition, to just be guided to like, what are you called to do? Who do you want to be? How do you want to live your life? What is your calling? What do you want your business to be about? So um, I know one of your topics is how transforming your identity is the key to find financial abundance. And so I'd love to dive, unpack that a little bit. Like when you say transforming your identity, is it kind of like what you just did with you know, your transition from finance person to hippie, like that? Is it, are you suggesting that people look at what they're doing, look at what they're choosing to do, and are they doing it for themselves or are they doing it because they think that they're supposed to? And maybe, ask themselves, what do you really want to be doing with your life? Or what do you mean by transforming your identity?
Yeah, and there's a lot of different pieces to it, but exactly what you're touching on is a huge part of them. I have found from my own personal experience that living a life motivated by should and supposed to is not sustainable,
Mhm.
right? Because you are sacrificing yourself for the sake of who you think you should be. And that will burn you out because, that is not your own energy, right? When you are motivated by what genuinely lights you up, what genuinely fills you with joy, that energy fuels you and your life. That is what helps you live. And so if you're just motivated by who I should be and who I'm supposed to be all the time, that will burn you out. And that's exactly what happened to me, mentally, emotionally, and physically. I reached the end of my rope because I lived based on should and supposed to for my whole entire life, for like 20 years. And the reason why I coach on money and work with money is because money plays such a huge role in in this reality. Money is often the thing that motivates us to become people that we don't want to be and
Mhm.
do things that we don't want to do because we have to in order to make money and we need money in order to survive. Right. And so there's a lot of ways in which we sacrifice ourselves and we sacrifice our lives for the sake of money. And that is rooted in beliefs and patterns around scarcity, lack, and not enoughness. And these beliefs are ingrained from our childhood. We are taught them growing up from our parents and from society. Exactly like you said earlier. Okay, the path is get really good grades so that you can go to a good college and then you can get a good job. And you do this so that you can make enough money to buy a house and then support your family, right? Like this is the path, and all of it is rooted in money. And so the reason why I coach on money is because when you transform your relationship with money to instead of being motivated by scarcity, lack, and need, and I need to get money and I need to do whatever it takes to get money, and I have to work really hard to make money. It doesn't come easily, right? Or maybe even money is evil, money is bad. I'm not allowed to have money. That creates so much stress in our lives. And it's often the thing that holds us back from living lives that we love and being who we are meant to be. And so, as we heal our relationship with money by changing these beliefs, these stories, these ideas around money, and tapping into our abundance and the belief that we can be who we are, do what we want to do, and be safely supported and sustained, that's how we actually get to create lives that we love and get to be financially supported at the same time.
Hmm. I love that. So what would you suggest to somebody that's like, okay, I need to transform my relationship with money? Like, how does one go about that?
And again, just like I said earlier, the first step to any transformation is awareness. I believe that through and through. You have to be aware of where you are now. And so the very first thing that you can do is become aware of your current relationship with money, right? You have a relationship with money, just like you have a relationship to a romantic partner, right? And so look at your relationship with money and imagine it as if it was another person. What does that relationship look like? Right? Is this a relationship where you feel like you have to act a certain way around them? You're like not allowed to do things that you want to do. And when you do those things you want to do, you feel guilt and you feel shame and you feel like you've done something wrong. You feel like you get in trouble just for, saying yes to things. You feel like you often have to say no. This is a common relationship that people have with money. Right? I'm not allowed to spend on money. And when I do, I feel really guilty. I feel ashamed. Money is bad. Money is wrong. What are the thoughts and patterns and stories that you're telling yourself around money? And ask yourself, if this was my relationship with a person, would I consider this a toxic relationship? Or would I consider this a healthy relationship where we support each other? And I'm allowed to say yes to the things that are important to me. I'm allowed to choose what is best for me. And you support me with that and you back me up and you're always there for me anytime I need you. And I know that I can trust you and rely on you. And also, I take care of you. I take care of you. I'm intentional with you. I'm aware of what's going on with you and I'm there for you and I spend time with you. Right? That's a really aligned and positive relationship with your money. So, the first step that you can do is just bring awareness to, what do you think about money? How do you feel about money? How do you feel when you open your bank account? And that will give you a really amazing baseline for where you already are. And if you're in a toxic relationship with money, just know that it doesn't have to be this way. You and money can have a positive relationship. And even knowing that that is possible can start to open up the doors for, the next steps of transforming your relationship.
Mm, yeah, I love this. I've heard it said before too, like another piece of our relationship with money is like, are you afraid to check your bank account? And
Hmm.
so if that was your romantic partner and you just don't even want to go there, like you're not spending quality time together. Um, And so I think like, I love that you talked about it as if it's a relationship with another person, because I think that's the easiest way to really look at like how we are with money and comparing it to a human. And I'm reading right now, I don't know if you've ever heard of The Dynamic Laws of Prosperity by Catherine Ponder, but excellent book and it's an older book. It was published in 1962 and it's remarkable. And one of the things that I just read yesterday was she was talking about, don't be vague with money unless you want money to be vague with its response to you.
Mm.
So, because I think a lot of people just, I would say the majority of people want to be vague with intentions and goals and anything that has to do with like dollar amounts, right? Because we don't want to fail, or we don't want to like, I don't know, over overstate what we're wanting to do, or we don't want to be laughed at if we say like we have this big money goal. We're afraid what people might, say in response to that, or we don't want to make more money than our parents, or we don't want our parents to know that that's what we're trying to do, or whatever it is. So I love that when she said, don't be vague with it. Like you can't just say, I want to be rich or I need to make more money. You have to be more specific than that. Do you feel that that's true?
Oh yeah, 100%. 100% when it comes to, your vision and what you want to create and these goals. That's something that I teach my clients how to do, is what I consider next level manifesting, where, you get crystal clear on your vision, which is something that a lot of people do, right? We take this step of, I'm going to write out everything I want. But in my mind, that's just step one. Step two
Mhm.
is, okay, so what does it cost to live that vision? Literally, what is the dollar amount to create all the different pieces of that vision? And simply bringing in that awareness makes your vision feel so much more possible, because instead it's this vague idea of like, someday when I'm a millionaire, I'll be able to have this vision. But it's not true. Your vision has a number attached to it, and it could be $1 million, but it also might not be, depending on what your vision is. And when you have those numbers, it brings it into reality. So, in terms of the vision, absolutely, it's so important to get specific and clear and to not have that vagueness. But also, I see that as your present relationship with money as well. Um, the second step that I always say is incredibly vital to transforming your relationship with money is to track your money and to know and have awareness around what is actually happening with your money. A lot of us have a relationship with money where we don't look at it. We're afraid to look at it. And even if we are checking our bank account, we still don't have a clear picture of what is actually going on. And
Mhm.
when we do that, money is just slipping through the cracks. We're being unintentional and unconscious with what we are doing with our money. And that means we're also being unintentional and unconscious with the decisions that we're making and the lives that we're choosing to live. Because I believe that money is our power, right? That old saying is true. Money is power. And it is because money is one of the ways in which we create this reality. It's a way in which we create our life. We create our life when we spend our time, our energy, and our money. And so when we have zero awareness around how we are spending our money, we are literally surrendering our power and we are giving our power
Mhm.
away. And so, to me, another way to be specific with your money is to get really crystal clear on exactly how much do I have coming in, the dollar amount and the cents amount, like down to the penny. How much do I have coming in each month? Where is it coming from? Is it coming in from aligned sources that feel good? And then where is it going? What am I choosing to do with every single dollar that I have? And how can I shift this to be even more intentional, to be even more conscious, and to align it with the life that I want to live and the vision that I want to step into, right? So many of us have this idea that managing your money means budgeting, limiting, and restricting ourselves. But in my opinion, building a or tracking your money is the equivalent of blueprinting. You are building your life with your money. And it is so powerful to be so intentional, conscious, and aware with how you choose to use this resource that literally creates your reality.
Mm. I love how you just reframed that because I think it's true. I think a lot of people do feel like um, it feels, tracking your money feels restricting. It feels like scarcity, right? It feels like I'm going down to the penny because I have to budget and count my pennies and limit myself and restrict myself and stop doing the things that I like to do or stop going to Starbucks on my way to work or like that. And you just flip that right on its head. So that is huge. I mean, just that in and of itself is a game changer, I feel like, for the way that we can look at our relationship with money and seeing it as a source of power and not surrendering our power. Oh my gosh, that's so good. So
Yeah. Yeah. So many people live their lives where money is in control of their life, right?
yeah,
It's like
yeah,
money says yes or money says no. I look at my
right.
bank account, I see a certain number that evokes a certain emotional response in
Mm,
me for some reason, right? It's not even based on the reality of the numbers unless you're really tracking it, but you have that emotional response and money tells you, no, I can't do this thing I really want to do. Or yes, I'm going to splurge and I'm going to do this thing I really want to do. Money is in control. Money has the power over your life, right? And
mhm,
that is a hard place to live, but you can be the one in control of your money and you can use your money to decide, what do I want to say yes to? What are the things that are a priority? What
mm,
am I going to choose? If I have a finite amount, what is most important? An example I love to use is, imagine you only had 1 day to live, 24 hours. That's it. There's a finite amount, but you knew it. If you knew this, my guess is that you would be so intentional with every single minute of that day. You would be so clear of, first I'm going to do this, then I'm going to do this, and then I'm going to spend time with loved ones because these are the things that are important to me and I want to make sure I'm using my time wisely and intentionally. It's the same with your money. If you know you only have $100, then be so intentional and choose and decide what is most important to you. And you can do that every single day, no matter how much money you have. And that is what abundance is getting to choose and say yes to the life that you want to live with the money that you already have right now.
Mm. And that again, it's so powerful because you're saying like, what do I want to say yes to instead of what do I have to say no to?
Mhm.
I just got chills.
Exactly. That's the difference between budgeting and blueprinting.
Mm. Wow. I've never even heard the term blueprinting before. Did you make that up or is that like
Oh yeah, that's a Scarlett Biz Hippie copyright right there.
I love
Patent
that.
pending.
That's awesome. So cool. So what about like for people that have debt, what do you have like some strategies or recommendations or what do you have to say about debt? Um
Yeah.
and what should people do to eliminate debt if you think that that's what needs to happen or let's talk about that for a minute.
Yeah, I think that's a great question. I believe that it's important to eliminate debt because it is an energy leak, right? Often, if you have debt, it is weighing in the back of your mind and you can feel it. And that is an energy leak. It's also a money leak as well, because if you have a lot of debt, you're paying interest on that debt and it is just like wasting extra money that you could be putting towards things that are more important to you. And so there are strategies for eliminating your debt. And in order to implement those strategies, you have to first track your money. Because what happens when you track your money is you're clear on how much you have and you're clear on where it's going, and you can make decisions with where you want it to go. And so if crushing your debt is a priority for you because you want to close off that energy leak and that money leak, you have to know how much money you actually have available in order to put it towards clearing off that debt, right? So you have to first have awareness of what is actually going on with your money.
Mm.
And I think it's important to note that it's different than whatever amount you have in your bank account. Like just looking at your bank account and being like, I have $1,000, I have so much money, I'm going to put 700 towards my debt. That is not an accurate picture of what's happening with your money, because time happens, right? Money comes in on certain days and money goes out on certain days. So even if you have $1,000 in your bank account, maybe some of that needs to be used for rent, which is coming up in a few days. But then you're going to get paid again in a few days. But then you have these other important bills and subscriptions coming out. And so simply just picking a day and looking at the number isn't an accurate picture of what is really happening with your money, and that leads to more stress, just basing how much can I put towards my debt off of that number, because maybe you got paid, you feel super abundant, you have a lot of money, so you spend it on a bunch of things, you put it towards your debt, you splurge, you go out to eat, you do this, that, and the other, and then oh my gosh, 2 weeks later, you are super stressed. You have very little in your bank account. You're holding your breath. You feel like you're barely scraping by, and you're hoping that the next paycheck comes in soon, right? This is a really volatile, stressful situation to constantly be putting yourself in. So, yes, there are strategies for crushing your debt. And, I could talk more about them, but really the first step is getting a really clear picture of what is actually happening with your money so you can determine how much extra do I actually have available or can I make available to put towards paying off the debt so that I can clear this weight that's been on my shoulders.
Mm, that's good. I love that. And so is there something around our relationship with money that actually gets in the way, speaking to entrepreneurs and, people that have their own businesses, whatever it may be, is, a lot of us, when we own our own business, our income depends on making some type of sales, right? There needs to be sales, something being sold in order for money to come into a business. And so is there something around our relationship with money that if it isn't healed will stop us like dead in our tracks from being able to produce sales in our business?
Oh yeah, 100%. Because in order to be successful in your business, you have to land sales. And in order to land sales in your business, you have to be in a place where you believe that your services are worth the amount of money that you price them at, right? You have to believe in your value and your worth. Otherwise, it's so hard to land sales. And I'm speaking from experience here. When I first started my business, I struggled really hard to make sales because I didn't fully own my value and my worth. And so, first of all, that plays a huge role in your ability to land sales because if you don't believe deep down subconsciously that you're worthy and deserving of receiving money, then you will prevent yourself from actually landing sales all the time without even noticing it. But there's other like beliefs and stories. I like to call them scarcity seeds, right? Those seeds that can determine the success of your business, right? If you believe that money is bad and money is evil, then there's going to be these subconscious parts of you that are going to prevent you from making money because you don't want to be bad and you don't want to be evil. Even
Mhm.
if you're unaware of this, it happens subconsciously all the time. And this is where self sabotage comes from. Also, if you're operating from a place of scarcity and lack and need and desperation, you're like, oh my gosh, I need to land 3 sales because I need to pay rent and I'm super desperate for clients and I have to make this work. Otherwise, it's all a failure and I have to like get back to my 9 to 5 job and admit that I was crazy and my parents were right, right? If you're like operating bit yeah, you can tell I've been in this. If you're operating your business from this place, your prospect sales can feel that. Like they can feel that on a sales call. Even if you don't indicate it at all, like they can just feel that desperation energy radiating off of you and it repels them, right? Whereas instead, if you are in a place of abundance, if you already feel like you have enough, if you feel calm with your money, if you believe that money is good and you're worthy of receiving it, if you believe that whatever service you're providing is worth the price you set it at and more, and you're able to bring all of that onto a sales call or put it into your marketing, your prospects, your clients, your sales, the people you're selling to can feel it. They
Mhm.
feel that and they can trust you because you're not desperate to sell them. You can step into a place of service and genuinely care about them. And that makes sales happen easier than ever because you're getting all of this out of the way. And then when you do bring in that money, you're able to actually do something with it because you believe you're worthy and deserving of having it and receiving it instead of, spending it quickly or pushing it away so that those sales don't happen. And also, when you track your money, going back to this other step of tracking your money, what happens is you step into what I call legit business owner energy, right? Because real businesses like big corporations and even like small businesses, they have CFOs, they have accountants, they have whole departments dedicated to managing the finances of the business because that's what makes a business is the finances, the money, the flow of money and managing it, right? So when you become an entrepreneur, I know so many entrepreneurs where they're like, I'm going to pursue this. And they don't track their personal money and they don't track their business money at all. And that, in my mind, is one of the biggest difference between a hobbyist and a business is do you manage your business's money? And when you do, that creates legit business owner energy, which again, your prospects can feel and they're more willing to trust you, right? They can trust you with their money because you are managing it, right? And all of that plays a huge role in the success of your business.
Mm. I love that you're talking about this because I've had so many instances with people who this all sounds woo woo to them. Like they don't think that like, like for example, I was working with a guy who he kept spending all this money on ads for his business and he wasn't making any sales and he's like, I don't understand. What am I doing wrong? Like, is my copywriting, like, what is it? Are my ads? And I'm like, it's your scarcity mindset. Like, you need to first work on your mindset. Like, he was not expecting to make sales. Like, he kept saying, like, nobody wants to work with me. My ads suck, whatever, and I'm like,
Mhm.
first thing that needs to change is your mindset, because as long as you are saying that and feeling that and putting your ad out into the universe, nobody is going to buy anything from that ad, even if it's the best copywriting in the world, right?
Mhm.
And I always say too, like when we're doing our work, like if you're a content creator, let's say, and that's how you generate leads and sales in your business, and you're like, well, I need to create a video today and I don't want to, and I'm in a bad mood and blah, blah, blah. And you do it anyway. Even if you try to hide it, it comes across. That video is not going to convert. It's just not. And people sometimes look at me like I have three heads when I say this, because it's like, well, no, I can fake it. I can still make a good piece of content, but energetically it comes across. Like you said, the desperation comes across. It's a lot different than somebody who's coming from a place of service. And I don't know how you feel about this, but there are beliefs as well where, even a couple weeks ago in my business, somebody was talking about how it's summertime and it's a slow time for people. You're not going to make as many sales in the summer. So there are other activities you can be doing in the summer. And I was like, wait a minute. I'm like, I made more sales last week than I've made like in a long time, like, and right in the middle of summer, like I'm making a lot of sales. So I don't have that belief.
Mhm.
So I'm still making sales. He has that belief that summer is slow, so he's not making sales. And I think there's a lot to be said about that. I mean, even not about money. I watched a documentary years ago. It's actually really good. It's called As If, I believe. And it talks about like the power of the mind. And there was a guy in the movie who was in prison, and he had gotten in some fights in prison where he had his teeth knocked out, and like two or three times he had his teeth knocked out and his teeth grew back. And the person that was interviewing him was like, how are your teeth growing back? We only get one set of adult teeth. And he goes, nobody ever told me that. So like he didn't have that belief. So his teeth grew back. And it was just like, wow. And there was all the stuff in this documentary with examples like that, where if we if we don't have some type of a negative belief around something, then it doesn't manifest. And so anyway, I think it's really cool that you brought this up. And I guess the one other thing is you were talking about the difference between, like when you're making money from this place and then being able to use the money in a different way when you're in this place. But the other piece of that, I believe, is knowing that there's more coming, because I think a lot of times people are like, this is all the money I have. And that
Mhm.
creates a not wanting to hoard it. And I think that, yeah, I mean, you can speak to this probably better than I can, but I believe there needs to be a flow, right? Like money comes in and money goes out, and we know there's more coming. And when we trust that there's more coming, more comes. But if we're hoarding it, we're expressing a scarcity mindset by saying, I can't spend any money because this is all I have. So do you want to tell me how you feel about that?
Yeah, absolutely. I totally agree with what you're saying. Money absolutely is a flow, right? It's a river that flows through us all, and money is not something that we own either. Like we often say, this is my money that I have, and,
Mm.
but I'm just holding it for a brief period of time and then I'm passing it along to you. And then eventually it's going to get passed back to me, because money is an exchange of energy, right? I'm going to exchange my time, my energy in exchange for this money, and then I'm going to choose to put the money towards what's important to me in exchange for your time or your energy, right? And we're just passing it along. And so just like you said, if we're holding it and hoarding it, first of all, that is absolutely rooted in scarcity, right? I think you can save in aligned ways, but it has to be intentional. And that's something that we talk about in empowered abundance, is intentional savings. Sometimes people just save for the sake of savings, and I'm like, what are you saving for? Like, why? What is it? And it's just a fear base of, well, it's going to go away and I need it. And so you can see right there that that is a scarce based belief. and you're operating from a place of scarcity, what that also does is it stops the flow, right? And if you're stopping the flow in the river, you are creating a dam, right? And you're going to prevent more from coming in because that dam that you have built is going to continue to ripple out. And whoever is next in line further down the river from you, their well is going to dry up. They're not going to have anything to pass along. The next person's going to dry up. And then eventually we're just all going to dry up. So we need to spread the wealth that we have. And the way that we can do that is just by choosing intentional and aligned ways to spend our money or even save our money, right? When you save intentionally, you're saving for a reason and just knowing what that reason is. And so absolutely being so clear on where is scarcity showing up in our lives and tapping into abundance as much as possible and as often as possible. That's really the work that I do as an abundance coach is I subscribe to the belief that abundance is not based on a certain number and a certain amount because I've worked with clients who have very little money, they're just starting their business, they're barely scraping by. I've also worked with clients who have lots of money and have very consistent, steady, stable jobs. And all of these people can feel like they're living paycheck to paycheck, no matter what amount of money they have. And then when I work with my clients, I help them tap into the abundance that is already present right now, no matter how much money you have, because abundance is a feeling, it's a way of life, and it's based on your beliefs, your patterns, your mindset, and the way you choose to use your money. And when you're tapped into that energy all of the time, you're able to stay abundant no matter how much money you have. I had a client recently, she said, I have less than $10 in my account right now. And I feel more abundant than I ever have in my life. In fact, this account could be negative and I would still feel abundant because I know how to get more. And I will
Mm,
always be good no matter what. So a lot of us are chasing an amount. We're like, someday when I have thousands of dollars, I'll be good. And it's like, no, if you don't feel good now with the amount that you do have, why would the universe give you more? And even if you do get more, this feeling is not going to go away. More money just expands whatever your current relationship with money is. Whatever your current situation is, adding more money to that is just going to expand it, the good and the bad, which is why it's so important to address our current relationship with money, our mindset and beliefs around money, and also take care of the money that we have. Because when you take care of your money takes care of you. So then when you do have more coming in, you're able to actually do something with it. It's finally able to feel like more as opposed to just more of the same.
yeah, I love that. So good. Um, so I know you keep talking about your clients and you have a course called Empowered in Abundance. So I'm curious, well, let's talk about your course first. I'm curious how that works. Is it a group coaching course or is it a just, DIY go through on at your own pace? How does that work?
Yep. Yeah, so it is a group container. I do have some one-on-one clients that I bring through it as well, but primarily it is a group container. And how it works is you typically go through the coursework on your own where you're learning these shifting your beliefs, learning to manage your money. It's really a combination of what I call the internal work that we've talked so much about and also the external work of how to manage your money and use it really strategically and intentionally. And so you learn to do this on your own. But then because money is such a sticky subject and such an important subject that impacts all areas of life, I also meet weekly with my clients. So we do weekly coaching to really deep dive into the topics, really integrate a lot of these shifting beliefs, patterns, and really learn how can I use my money, manage my money, and be strategic with it. So it is an in-depth, immersive, high touch, highly supportive program that I walk my clients through.
Does it have like a start date and an end date, or is it just always open?
Yep, as of right now, it does have a start date and an end date because I love to take through specific groups through the process itself. There's a journey that I take my clients on, and it starts with awareness, which I've talked about already as the first step, where we're developing awareness around our relationship with money, changing our beliefs, our thoughts, our stories around money, and then also awareness around what is actually happening with our money. That's where you learn to build your more blueprint and develop awareness around what is actually already happening with our money. And awareness is the longest phase because it's so important. And then from there, we tap into the vision. So now I'm clear on where I am now. That's my awareness. But where do I want to go? What do I want to create? What life do I want to live? And getting very specific and crystal clear on what that vision is. And then the third phase is alignment. How do I align my present reality with this vision? And then the fourth phase is action, because those are the steps you take forward to step into that vision. And so I walk my clients through this program, through this path over the course of 6 months.
Okay. So you do it twice a year or once a year?
I do it 2 to 4 times a year.
So you just have different groups going in starting at different times
And rolling through. Yep,
and then are the
exactly.
group coaching sessions per group, or is it all the groups together that you get on with once a week?
Yeah, right now it's been individual groups. Like each group has its own session because right now, my goal is really to keep these groups small
Mhm.
because money is it's complex. We have complex relationships with money. And when you change your relationship with money, it can literally impact every single area of your life, right? Because money creates your reality, it does impact every area of your life. So, having the individualized groups, what happens is you develop a relationship with everyone in the group and it dispels some of the taboo around money and being able to talk about money and share your money situation with
Mm,
others is really valuable. So to have that space and that same consistent container for a 6 month period of time is really powerful and really transformative because you get to see other people's situations around money, which is rare for this world that we live in. People typically don't talk about it, but also you have this additional support system of the group going through the same journey that you are at the same time.
mm. Do you ever find that people are hesitant to want to share about their money?
Um, yes, I do, just in general, because that's what we've learned. But at the same time, um, I've found that people are actually very open to talking about it. Like they want to talk about money and they just haven't found the safe space and the avenue to do that. And
Mhm.
so the conversations that I have with clients before they even sign up with me opens up that door to
Mm.
being willing to talking about money. And so if anything, there might be some fear around it, but my intention for this container is to really create a safe space
Yeah.
because the other thing is I don't have judgment for my clients on what you spend your money on. I'm not the type of financial coach who's like you should do this and then you should do this and if you don't you're doing it wrong. Like it is 100% up to you to decide what to spend your money on. It's your money, it's your life. And what I do is I teach you how to make those decisions about what is important to you and what's a priority for you. So
Nice.
bringing that intention really into the group, it's like it doesn't matter what your situation is. It doesn't matter what you're choosing to do with your money as long as it's in alignment for you. And that's really creates a safe space. And also, I have clients all over the world as well. So it's really amazing to see different financial situations in different countries with different currencies where there's different values and different priorities. So that also just changes the dynamic because you realize that it's bigger than you and there's more than just your situation as well, which gives you more space to be willing to share about it and be open about it.
Yeah, I love that. It seems like the group dynamic would really lend a lot to your program. Do you do one-on-one as well or just group stuff?
I do offer one-on-one. I do have a few one-on-one slots for people who want that additional support or, there are some rare situations where my clients are more resistant to sharing their financial situation. Like, for example, most of my clients are coming from a scarce place, are coming from not having a lot of money and desiring more. And that's, the general theme of my group containers. But I do have a client that I'm currently working with now who grew up with lots of money and has always had lots of money and still makes lots of money. In fact, he works in finance. He trades stock for a living. And yet he has his own relationship with money that can be better and can be improved. There's this idea of when I have lots of money, I won't have to change my relationship with money at all. And it's like, no, even if you do have a lot of money, you have a different, other unique relationship with money that can still have a huge impact on your life. And so, because he's on the other end of the spectrum and has a more unique relationship with money than the types of clients that I attract into my group, I do have one-on-one spots available to, create the safety and address whatever specific financial situations you have in your specific relationship with money.
I love it. Love it, love it, love it. And I know that you mentioned to me before the call that you have a free gift that you offer, an abundance, what is it? An abundance activation call.
Yes,
You want to
exactly.
talk about that? Tell
Yeah.
listeners what they can get.
Yeah, absolutely. I love to offer this like special for podcast listeners because I mean, podcasts are my favorite. So, shout out to you listeners. You're awesome. Thanks for listening. So you can book a free abundance activation session with me. What it is a half-hour Zoom call where we get to talk about your relationship with money, which, as we just discussed, is super valuable just to have that safe space to even talk about what your current relationship with money looks like. And then throughout this session, I'm going to help you get crystal clear on where you are now, where you want to go, and how you can get there and how you can create it. And my intention is to support you and really open up the door of possibility of what your relationship with money can look like and the impact that that can have on your life. So, if you would love to have a free session with me, I would love to speak with you about this topic. Obviously, it's something I'm very passionate about, and I know that it can totally transform your life when you take a step to transform your money.
And that sounds amazing. Like who wouldn't want to take you up on that? Do you want to, I know you said you had, I'm going to put the link in the show notes, but didn't you say it was an easy link to say too, in case somebody's like driving and just wants to know?
Yeah, absolutely. If you want to sign up, you can sign up at thebizhippie.com. That's thebizhippie.com/activate.
Perfect. And then, are there other ways that people can work with you? Or I know you're on Instagram. Um,
Yeah, that's really my primary connection place. If you'd like to follow me on Instagram, I'm also very active in my messages and in the DMs. Like, go ahead and shoot me a message, especially if you listen to this and anything stood out to you. I 100% want to hear it. I want to hear what your takeaways were. So you can find me on Instagram at the Biz Hippie. That's TheBizHippie.
Love it, love it, love it. Well, we're getting to the end of our time here, so I want to ask you, is there anything else that you want to say or touch on that I didn't ask you or that you want to dive deeper on, or any closing thoughts or anything else?
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. Thank you for asking. And really what I do want to say is that, to anybody listening, I just really want to reiterate that it's so possible for you to feel abundant now, to stop feeling the constant stress around money, to stop feeling like you have to be stuck and trapped in this life that you're living because of money, because there's no other option. You can 100% feel abundant no matter how much money you have, no matter what you were taught growing up around money and what you have to do to make it or have it. And I know that it's so possible for you to genuinely create a life that you enjoy and a life that you love living. I mean, 6 years ago, I didn't even think that was an option. I didn't even think it was possible that I could consider wanting something different than what I had. And now I've discovered that, oh my gosh, I'm in control of my life. I'm in control of my reality. And so my invitation for you is, how can you wield the power that you have by being in control of this life that you're living? Because you already have so much power. And I just want you to know that.
Oh, this is so good. I love this so much. I really feel like even just listening to this episode is going to just change people's lives.
I
Um,
hope so.
I believe that. I've gotten some really good gold nuggets too from this, and I'm just so grateful to have you on here. And like I said, we'll put all of the links that Scarlett mentioned will be in the show notes as well. And her Instagram handle and all of that will also be in the show notes. And it's just been awesome having you here, Scarlett. And you guys should all go connect with her on Instagram and get your free abundance activation and check out her course, Empowered Abundance. So
Woo.
thank you so much for being here. And thank you everybody for listening. And we will see you guys in the next episode. Bye for now.